All right. Well, thank you everyone for joining us this afternoon for the public hearing for Mobile County's 2025 through 2029 Consolidated Plan and the 2025 Annual Action Plan. Next slide, please. So just a quick overview of the project, and then we'll get into some more of the specifics about the plan. So the Consolidated Plan and Annual Action Plan serve as the county's official application to HUD for these funds. They cover the Community Development Block Grant Program and the Home Investment Partnerships Grant Program. So those grant amounts vary from year to year, but we can see from last year in 2024 that the county received about $1.6 million in CDBG funding and about $550,000 in home funding. So like I said, those grants change year to year. They're dependent on the federal budget. So HUD is in the process now of deciding, based on the total federal budget for 2025, what are going to be each city and county's grant amounts. So probably in May of this year, we should have final 2025 numbers for Mobile County. But that gives you an idea of how much we're talking about. So the Community Development Block Grant Program is really designed to be flexible as long as the county is using this funding to provide decent housing, a suitable living environment, or expand economic opportunity. And the catch there is that these projects should result in a benefit to people with low or moderate incomes. So HUD defines that as 80% of the area median income. So for Mobile County area, that's about $60,000 for a family of four. Those amounts change by family size, but that gives you an idea of who these programs are designed to benefit. Next slide, please. You can see that there's a variety of things that can be funded using CDBG money. So housing-related activities, this money can't be used specifically to construct housing, but it can be used for rehab or land development activities related to housing. It can also be used for public facilities and public services, infrastructure improvements, economic development activities, to provide support to nonprofit organizations, and a portion of it can be retained by the county to assist with their program administration costs. The second program that is covered under the Consolidated Plan and Annual Action Plan is the Home Program. And this is really dedicated specifically to housing and housing affordability. Again, it's targeting households that HUD considers low and moderate income, so those with 80% or less of the area median. And it's also designed to be flexible, so it can include rehabilitation, repair, and reconstruction for housing that's owned by a low or moderate income household. It could include assistance with helping folks purchase homes, so whether that's down payment assistance or constructing new affordable housing for sale. It can also be used on the rental side, so to help construct or rehabilitate rental housing, or to provide direct rental assistance to households. So that's kind of the realm of possibilities for what that funding can be used for. So this is a quick overview of what our planning process has been. We're now in phase 3 of this, where we have a draft of the plan that's available for the public to look at and provide comments on. And then that will be available for a 30-day period. And then afterwards, it will go for approval by the commission and subsequent submission to HUD. So earlier in this process, we did a community engagement activity or community engagement process that included 4 public meetings, so a couple public hearings that the county held, and then 2 community-wide meetings. We had one with the Housing Authority, the Pritchard Housing Authority, so trying to get input from folks in the community. We also did stakeholder interviews. So for folks who represented organizations that provide housing or services for low and moderate income households, we took some time to interview them and get their perspective on priority needs in the community. And then had a survey that was open to anyone to participate. And altogether, there was, I think, about 95 folks that participated in the process through one or more of those avenues. The project also builds on existing data, so that includes information from the census and the American Community Survey. It includes specific data about housing affordability, homelessness, public housing, um, and then building also on previous reports that the county and its partners have done. So whether that's plans by the housing authority or economic development strategies, making sure that this plan is in concert with other activities within the county and the region. So that was a quick overview of what we did. These are now what came out of that process. So the 5-year priorities and goals for Mobile County through 2029. You can see there, starting on the community development side, one of the biggest priorities that we identified was public facilities and infrastructure improvements. So that could be things like parks, community centers, roads, sidewalks, lighting and safety, ADA accessibility, infrastructure that's going to support affordable housing, and other similar improvements like that that will benefit low and moderate income neighborhoods or special needs groups, folks like seniors or youth, people who are homeless might be benefited through facility or infrastructure improvements. Another priority that was identified was the demolition of dilapidated and vacant buildings or clearing land, whether that's just for general neighborhood improvements, improving the living environment, or making that space usable as green space or for affordable housing development or something like that. A couple additional community development priorities. Public services, so up to 15% of the CDBG grant can be spent there, and Mobile County anticipates they will spend that 15% on public services. So this is, again, assisting low and moderate income residents and special needs groups. Could be youth services, childcare, senior services, family violence or abuse prevention, food access, transportation, legal assistance, workforce development. Those were some of the things that we heard most commonly in the community engagement process. And then finally, will be a priority to reserve some funding for planning and administering programs, so supporting staff costs and other expenses related to the HUD grant programs. And then related to housing, you see some priorities there. First, related to expanding and preserving affordable housing, so looking at construction of for sale or rental properties or possible acquisition and rehab of existing affordable properties. We have a priority related to homeowner housing repair, so with providing some assistance for homeowners related to roof replacements or other kind of major repairs that they may not otherwise be able to make. And a priority related to providing financial assistance to home buyers. So that's usually through down payment assistance or closing cost assistance, helping folks be able to purchase homes. Two more, so one related to homelessness and homelessness prevention, particularly in program years where the county receives what's called an emergency solutions grant. That grant is dependent on some different population factors. So there are program years where the county receives that funding and there are years where it doesn't. So we'll see kind of how that shakes out for 2025. But when the county does receive that ESG funding, that can specifically be used to address homelessness. So That could be things like providing emergency shelter, doing outreach services, but also providing rapid rehousing or homelessness prevention, so helping folks stay within their homes. And then finally, a priority related to fair housing. So looking for opportunities to provide fair housing education or enforcement to make sure that federal anti-discrimination laws are withheld or upheld here. Let's see. So this is looking at the pot of funding that the county expects to receive in these two CDBG and home program over the next 5 years. Kind of breaks down among the different goals. So you can see that CDBG goal within public services, that's about 15% of the grant for the 5-year period. Public facilities and infrastructure, that forms about 51% of the projected grant for the next 5 years. And then we have some additional funding for the blight clearance and homeowner rehab and repair. And then 20% of the grant is reserved for program administration. Looking at the home program, you can see that it's about 14% that is dedicated to home buyer assistance, so like down payment program activities, and then the largest share, about 2/3, towards expanding the supply of affordable housing, so supporting construction or preservation. And then with that grant program, you can reserve 10% for administration, so we have that shown there. And ESG will just depend year to year whether that grant's received, but it would go towards that addressing and preventing homelessness activity. So that was the 5-year picture. If we look specifically at 2025, you can see the first slide I have here is the slate of public service projects that the county will anticipate funding and those funding amounts. So you can see a variety there related to some senior service activities, some youth activities, and I think some domestic violence and abuse response activities there. Let's see. Just kind of a quick, so for each activity within the plan, the county will identify how many people it is expected to assist. So public services altogether are expected to assist about 1,000 people and 150 households. And then the next group here, you see a few public facility and infrastructure programs, so improvements to the Grand Bay Senior Center Historic Park, to the Wilmer Senior Center, and then road improvements in District 1 that will be in Pritchard. Together, those are anticipated to assist about 1,400 people. And then we have the Homeowner Emergency Repair Program, anticipated to help about 9 households, and the Spot Blight Program, which is anticipated to fund demolition for about 12 buildings. On the home project side, so that CHODO project includes kind of housing development activities by what HUD calls CHODOs, which are community housing development organizations. So you see the bulk of the funding is there, and that's anticipated to result in about 4 new rental units of affordable housing, and then down payment assistance to assist 2 households purchase homes. So that was a pretty quick overview of the plan, but certainly if you are interested in learning more, you can, the next slide has a link there where you are able to access and review that draft 2025-2029 consolidated plan, and you can share comments by email or mail to Gordon Bauer to provide any input that you'd have, and that will be taken into account as the county revises that plan prior to it going before the commission. And comments received during the public comment period would also be included in an appendix, so HUD would have those as the plan is submitted to HUD. I think with that, happy to take any questions or comments, but thank you for joining us.